Welcome to our first theory video for True Detective Night Country. I'm Dan, that's Julia, and that's Vex over there. If you like Vex, her channel is going to be linked below. So before we get into it, we have to admit an error from our first video. Yes, the cold case is 6 years old. I'll put in the clip right here.
It's not her tongue.
How do you know?
It's been 6 years. Can't be her tongue.
Okay, 6 years, we know that's the cold case. We're going to talk about a couple of your comments, and we're going to talk about a couple tie-ins possibly to season 1. A lot of spiral stuff going on. It's going to be very interesting. So,
all right, so the first comment is from Starry Eyes, who says Travis is Rust's father.
So I went back and rewatched True Detective season 1. So they do mention Travis Cole in the first season a couple times, actually. So Rust claims there's a point in that season, which I don't want to spoil for people that haven't watched it, but he tells the interviewing detectives that he took a break to go see his sick father who is dying of leukemia. Those detectives are just like, there's no record of Travis Cole ever dying or going to the hospital. And then it said that he hasn't, like, Travis Cole hasn't been seen in over 30 years. He was a strange guy. He was a survivalist. Rust's mom left him with Travis when he was about 2. He was originally in Texas and then moved back to Alaska to be with his dad. And I'll wait for the next comment and I'll get into it. But there's more details. Basic. Yeah.
Basic, we got it from Alaska. His dad's name was Travis. Could be it. So yes. I like that right off the bat. I like that.
All right, awesome. So our next comment is from Real Brad Miller, and they said Travis was not dancing. He was mimicking someone drowning.
All right, so I'm going to put in as much as I can possibly put in without getting a copyright strike of that scene of him dance drowning, whatever it is. And a lot of people seem to agree with him. So maybe there's something to it. And Vex, you pick something up with that?
Yeah, I can. Okay, so I first of all, that's some interesting drown dancing that he's doing. But I think that just ties back into the fact that, first of all, Travis has been missing for so long. But also there was a little like tidbit of information that's dropped in episode 7 of season 1. So after the events of the main events of season 1 of True Detective, Rust goes back to Alaska for 8 years. And he specifically mentions that he was working odd jobs on like fishing boats and in bars and stuff like that. So perhaps like Travis Cole drowning is a bit of he might just be picking up on the fact that all those scientists like drown and froze in the water. But also it's interesting that his son was working on like a fishing boat, maybe 15, 20 years prior to the events of this. And it's very possible, even though no one had seen Travis Cole for 30 years, maybe he was just off the grid, because Rust was off the grid for 8 years in the events of season 1. So
okay, I like it. That's an interesting observation. I would have never picked up that he was mimicking someone drowning. I even watched it again.
Yeah, me neither.
I guess I could kind of see it, but still it's kind of a little out there for me. So what do you guys think? Do you agree that he's actually mimicking someone drowning, and will that come into play later? So what is this connection of Travis possibly being Rust's father have to do with Rose? Because we don't know if Rose was the wife of Travis or if Rose was the mother of Travis. Like, we don't know their relationship.
I kind of assumed it was a mother thing, because even when the ghost shows up, I don't know, it's just like she had more of a motherly feel compared to everyone. And also that actress, I noticed she tends to play more of the maternal roles, and we don't see her wearing like a wedding ring or anything. I feel like if it were maybe a wife, maybe you would see that. Also, just the fact that season 1 confirms that like Rust's mom just like literally dipped out of Alaska, so I doubt that she would want to go back after she abandoned her son as well.
How did you find them?
Travis showed me.
Travis is dead. Rose.
I know.
Then that's kind of against the theory, because you wouldn't think that Rose would be Rust's mother.
No. So it's probably his grandmother, if anything, or Travis's mother. There we go.
Got it. Okay. Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah, I get it. All right. That makes sense. Possible. I guess you got to keep your eyes open for anything. So we'll see. But yeah, a lot of people like that theory. I saw on Twitter a bunch of people saying that, just because, they say in season 1 that Russ's father's named Travis and he lived in Alaska. So like, why not make it work? So it's possible.
For sure.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, so this one is from Silver Stargazer, and they said, okay, so I caught that the guy with the coat was the same guy at the beginning who has the seizure and said she's awake. Also, when Danvers gets out of bed, she steps on and then picks up a dirty one-eyed stuffed polar bear. When you watch the trailer for the next episode, we find out the spiral, Danvers and the floor photos, connects to a tattoo Annie K had, as well as one drawn on the forehead of one of the victims.
Okay, so I'm going to put in a bunch of images of what he just talked about, including the clip one more time of the guy seizing.
Hey, look. Are you okay?
I'll put in a bunch of those clips to match up what he was talking about and images. But Vex, I know you have a lot on this.
Right. So the coat thing, yeah, I think I picked up on that as well. Like he's even before Danvers puts the pictures together, you can see
Yeah.
that he's wearing a purple coat, right? So that one wasn't missed. Same with the one-eyed polar bear. I had that in my notes for the episode recap, but I didn't bother. But same thing, it was missing the same eye as that polar
Mhm.
bear that we see on the road with Navarro. The spirals. I think that's probably the most obvious tie back to season 1 because the spirals were a very big thing in Russ and Marty's case back then. So the whole thing with season 1 was that all of these kind of elite upper people were kind of snatching up young children and women kind of along mostly the coastline in Louisiana over many decades. And this all led back to this thing called Carcosa, which is from a novel called The Yellow King. And Carcosa is a city on this planet in another universe in which the only way to gain access to it is through ancient incantations, occult activities, and sacrifice. So that symbol that you see on all the victims, not only is it linked to that, but like if we're just looking in real life, that's actually a symbol associated with underage loving individuals and organizations.
Okay.
So there's a tie-in there. It's also not that unheard of for many individuals in indigenous communities to resort to solicitation and prostitution. So the fact that maybe it wasn't her sister, right? The cold case, it was someone else. It was like a friend or whatever.
Connected to Navarro?
Yeah, I think it was a friend, right?
I think she was just affected because it was like a native person. I didn't
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know any personal connection. I think she just because she said the comment if she was white it would be different. I think she's
Yeah.
just mad that it was a native
Yeah.
person, so it
She
like
was also
affected
the
her.
one that found the body, right? So
Right,
arguably
yeah.
there's also a very strong connection there. But yeah, it wouldn't be like unheard of for a girl, however old she is, because we don't know how old Annie is, I think. I mean,
Right.
let us know if they do reveal that. So there's a possible tie-in as well to the season 1 events. And yeah, we do see a bit of the spiral in one of the photos of Annie.
Yeah,
We see
it's cut off, but I'll put it in right here.
yeah.
It's cut off, but you can clearly tell that's what the tattoo is. They show just enough to let you know that oh, she had the spiral tattoo.
Star-shaped wounds. Murder weapon never found.
Missing tongue.
Yeah. Never recovered.
So
Hmm.
it's there.
And it was all over the promos and trailers for this show as well. So
Right, right.
that was an easy one to connect. That's what I have for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had, when Jodie Foster was sitting over her images that she mushed all around,
spiral.
the spiral was right there. So it's all over the place in this episode. So yeah, I really like that a lot. Shout out to Judy Ruliani on Twitter. Had an awesome thread. Go check it out. First up is
Danvers has a stepdaughter, Leah, who is acting out, possibly in an attempt to cope with the loss of her father, Danvers' husband, in what was likely a drunk driving accident, which may or may not have also claimed the life of her/their child, Holden.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment to make as well. Danvers has like a really visceral reaction to that one woman driving drunk. Like she
Yeah.
gets really irrationally angry at it when it's her job to kind of be calm in those scenarios.
Also, did you
Yeah.
notice though, I'll put in the clip right now, when she was walking towards the crash, she had
Mhm.
like a second of a flashback.
Yep,
You
exactly.
notice
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that will tie into play. That's how she lost her child. I think that's gonna definitely come into play, and that's like, why else would they show us that flashback just for a hot second?
Yeah.
It has to tie in somehow. So I think that's a great observation. One more thing spotted was the very opening image of this series. It was a quote, "For we do not know what beast the night dreams when its hours grow too long for even God to be awake," from Hildred Castaigne. The opening quote attributed to Hildred Castaigne, who is the protagonist and narrator of the short story The Repairer of Reputations by Richard W. Chambers, which is featured in his 1895 collection titled The Yellow King. So there's lots of tie-ins to season 1. So I know Vex, you also had something on this that you picked up, right?
Again, the spiral, the Yellow King quote at the beginning. Also, one of the meanings for Carcosa was that death is not the end. So I imagine that might also tie into why Rose is seeing her son's ghost, why there's there's a bit of a supernatural element.
Mhm.
One of the things I did notice in my season 1 rewatch is in the very last episode when Rust confronts kind of the individual they've been looking for. He looks up and he sees like a spiral. I'm sure you could input a clip from that here, Dan. There's
Yeah.
a spiral that he sees that's like glowing and everything. So I mean, like the way I had interpreted it, the first few times I'd watched this series was that okay, Russ has already explained that he was undercover in narcotics. He had a lot of substance abuse problems. He was in a psychiatric facility for 4 months, and he had also explained that he does have synesthesia or something like that. It's basically like a
Synesthesia.
there, thank you. It's like a overlapping slash like dissonance between your senses. So he explained away a lot of the reason why he saw things. But at the same time, Rust is also kind of like a bit clairvoyant. Like he understood this was a path we needed to follow. This is something we need to look into. So perhaps the fact that Rose is able to see the ghost of her now dead son, it's a bit of a bloodline thing. So maybe that's where season 1 was like you could take it either way. It was more explained away as like this is a mental health thing, but season 4 is going towards a bit more of a supernatural element. So
Yeah.
maybe it will take that part and lean in a bit more to it. Yeah, it's just I always just kind of explained that away as just oh, he's all fucked up from the drugs, but
All right. Lastly, speaking of supernatural, has everybody here seen The Thing, the
yes.
original,
Mhm.
Jules? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a shot in the scientist's den where they hang out, clearly where you could see The Thing. I'll put in an image right here. Do you think they're going that direction where there's going to be some type of real supernatural force presence in this season, or that's just paying homage to another setting in an ice setting?
I don't think they're going to lean into that. I think it's just more homage than anything because the thing also takes place in just a cold, icy
Yeah.
wasteland as well.
Right.
That's what I'm
Isolated crew of
thinking.
isolated crew of researchers. It's like oh, the setup is very similar as well. Even
Mhm.
just the shot we get of the bodies on ice at the very end, it's almost reminiscent of how they find some of the bodies in the thing as well. So I think it's
Right.
Yeah.
homage more than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I agree.
I had to ask. That'll pretty much do it. Let us know what you guys think of these theories below, and we'll be right back Monday morning. We're going to upload our coverage of episode 2. So if you like this, please subscribe. Once we hit 3,000 subscribers, we're going to give away $50 on Venmo. So all you got to do is subscribe. Just why not? Have a chance to win $50. I want to thank Vex. I want to thank Jules. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on Monday. Later.
Bye, guys.